Remember, your next chance to win $1,000 in the keyword for cash. That's coming up at 9:05 this morning. Just listen for the keyword, then dial **win if you're the randomly selected nationwide entrant. And you know the keyword, you could win $1,000. Put it right in your pocket. Maybe bet on an NFL game and turn that into, $5,000.
By the way, I think I'm going to take this as a sign.
Yeah.
We don't have one caller as a suggestion with just to lock it up. And I mentioned a couple
Card
during the
looks
break.
weak.
I mentioned a couple during the break to like Drab and we were talking about it. You know what? I'm out. I'm out. I want my $100. I'm out.
Well, hold on. We haven't even discussed it yet.
Don't be
I'm
scared.
out of the
I'm
contest.
telling you, I'm probably out this week, too.
Don't be scared.
But I might jump back in next week. But I'm looking at...
You know what? Because at the end of the day, gamblers lose.
They do.
I
More
agree
than
with
they
that.
win.
But it's fun.
Got butt lucky.
Well, you just shut... It's,
You
who
know
cares?
what?
A couple
Take
$100.
$100.
Come on.
It's house
Take your
money.
party elsewhere.
What are you going to do with
It's not-
$100?
It's not house money.
I'm
If
going
you
to put
bet...
it right in the old savings.
$100 in savings. Oh, come on.
It's not,
Please.
it's not
I've been
house...
going so quick.
The problem is it's
You really
not...
need it that bad?
It's not house money when you bet like 500 to win 100. Now you know it's not house money at all.
Right. You end up losing.
And I never like picking the spreads. I mean, these games could go. I know squeakers. These games could go anyway. Although Colts Bengals. You wouldn't be shocked if the Bengals won that game.
Oh, the Bengals were undefeated 2 weeks ago.
Titans Redskins, that could go either way.
No, what you do is you take one of these tighter games and you play the money line, so you're not risking as much.
Yeah,
So
but
you don't- so you don't have to
vibe,
risk
though.
4
I don't
to
have a
1.
vibe
You don't
on
have a
tighter.
stone cold winner.
No,
I kind of like the Ravens to beat the Falcons at home.
I like
I'm
that
sure they
earlier,
probably
too.
will, but
And
I
that
don't want
might
to put
be
400
That
on
might
it.
be like you might have to. No, you won't have to lay 400 on that. The money line might be like 140 or 150.
Ooh,
That's
now
a-
I'm getting
No,
a
it's
little
going to be
bit.
more than that
No,
because
it's a 7-point
it's a
spread.
7-point spread.
All right, 2 to 1 tops.
Well, hold on. The one we did was a 9-point spread. It's not
We
that much
laid
different.
400.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was 430 to 1 or 450 to 1.
Right, but that was a 9-point spread. So if a 7-point spread, probably.
I know, but this is a home game. This is home game. Denver was going on the road. Baltimore at home. The Falcons suck on the road.
The Ravens are
I
going to
like,
beat the.
you don't
think
like the
you're-
Packers over the
I
Panthers.
like that risk over some of these other matchups.
You don't like the Packers over the Panthers at home at
Yeah.
Green Bay?
Yeah, I think they'll win.
Yeah, but the Panthers they're a tough bunch.
They're
I'm not going to
dangerous.
count them out.
They're da-
Right.
Well,
You know what? I'm going to call the final score for the Ravens game right now. They're going to beat the Falcons 31-17
I think-
at M&T. Easy cover, easy win.
Nah, this is the huge jinx. This is the biggest jinx ever.
That's the other thing. Stole money actually teaming up with Cakes on a bet.
Yeah, it's a bad idea. You
Keep teaming up with
You got
Cakes.
away with it 1 week.
Right.
Probably not going to get away with it back-to-back weeks.
I agree.
Keep betting with Cakes.
Let me see. The
There was a
Cowboys
website
Giants.
always bet against Cakes.
Cowboys Giants. That could go either way. I would never bet heavily on
Never
one
in
side.
a billion years.
Chargers Chiefs. I think the Chargers are better, but that could go either way. Lions Saints. I guess the Saints are just awful. Are the Saints just awful?
They're not awful.
They're pretty bad.
They haven't played very well. Their defense is a
Defense
sieve.
is leaky.
The Bills Vikings. Dud.
No.
You would never bet heavily on one side of that one.
Yeah, there were pros, and then there were duds.
This
What
line
about
of a lot of
Cleveland?
duds.
What about Cleveland over Jacksonville? Oh, Jacksonville's playing better with Bortles.
I can't bet on
They are
Cleveland.
playing better.
Why don't you guys just listen to Big Fat Winners Radio and fade Lurch's picks?
Maybe that's what we should do. Maybe we should wait a few days.
No, because he's going to get hot. Do theory.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
He
I
will bounce back at some point.
I should have written a book about the do theory. The do
Right.
theory's the greatest.
I mean,
theory
right
ever.
now on the
Give me
podcast.
the different chapters.
There's one short chapter.
How can you turn that into
There's
a book?
no
I mean, I don't
multiple
know. Just something I should
chapters.
have profited from it. It's a brilliant theory. Do
Have you
theory.
ever
it
picked
would be
up
one. It would be one
Have
chapter
you ever
book.
gone to a rest stop and picked up a pamphlet? Okay, that's what it would look like.
I think that
I mean, the Redskins have been due for a really good season for a while.
if we're not going to do the Pats, and I don't really want to lay 4 or 5 to 1 again, that's just stupid.
Well, it's not stupid, Jason. The reason why it's 4 or 5 to 1 because it's a lock.
It's not a lock. There's no such thing as a lock.
It's the closest thing
It's
to
the
a lock.
closest on this
No.
card that you're going to get.
It's the closest thing. It's like Vegas playing.
The juice is not worth that squeeze.
It's like UNLV versus Duke. You just get horrid every once in a while.
But if you're going to risk less, I think the Ravens beating the Falcons is a good play.
I don't
just
want
to
to bet
win.
against. I don't want to get bet against Matt Ryan.
He sucks.
He's terrible away from
Jakes
the...
is talking
You know
about starting Kirk Cousins over Ryan in his fantasy league.
Oh, no, I just picked up Carson Palmer. I'm going to start him against the Raiders because he's going to carve them up. You think he's not? His former team.
All right, we got the Junkies
I
Blitz coming up.
can't do it.
Junkies Blitz coming up at 7:40. We'll go around the NFL for that. I wanted to mention something real quick. We all have kids, 10 kids between the 4 Junkies, and we have to deal with different issues like homework. And last night was an example, and I realized that I became my father last night. So Kelsey had an English paper. She's in 9th grade, and it was a creative writing paper, and it was about 7 or 8 pages that she had to type, and then I went to look at it just to check it over. And the second sentence, there was an error in terms of tense.
That's better than mine. Mine's usually an error in the first sentence.
And so
First word.
My kid, no period.
I then went on to look at all 7 pages, and I made just a mountain of corrections where I didn't just correct it. I just went
Hold
edited
on.
and I created new sentences.
Slow down. She did a 7-page paper?
Yes.
Oh, my
Wow,
God. My
that's
kid's
big.
not even capable of a paragraph.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unbelievable.
Well, it was you had to write a story, and it actually.
But, I mean, she's 14. That's amazing.
Well, I'm assuming everybody in their class had to do the same thing.
Well, but we're going to probably flunk out of high school.
It's not hard. She probably has the flame gene.
Which just gets keep writing
Yeah,
and
writing.
writing. Yeah.
But so it was a.
What's she writing? The Odyssey by Homer?
7 pages
going on?
for
It
a
was-
9th
it
grader
actually
is
was-
pretty strong.
It actually was a story about. Apparently, they were given guidelines. I don't know the exact setup, but there has to do with like Sherlock Holmes, Dr. Watson, and believe it or not, Babe Ruth.
So she was
And the
supposed
story
to. It was
was
a
like
creative writing thing. So
creative
she's
writing.
She's kind of like writing her own story.
Right. So there's like quotes like, hey, what are we doing or whatever. But I read it.
I don't even know.
Was Babe Ruth eating 9 hot dogs and banging strippers?
No, it was cakes. It was the case of the stolen bat. So it was a
That
creative writing
also
story.
was a Jason Worth story.
Yeah.
And Adam LaRoche,
Right.
and Denard Span.
Well, I had to
But
call it
here's
Worth.
my question, and I remember when I was a kid, I always hesitated to ask for help from my dad in particular, who was brilliant, but he would take over at times. There was one project which I did, which my dad basically did. He would take the poster board, he would hook it all up. Back when we did those stupid science fairs and things like that.
Well,
Because he was really good with like the construction aspect, and then he was also a good writer.
Science fair
an
is the
editor.
devil, by the
So-
way. It's the worst ever.
At the end of it, I had replaced like sentences and words, and she went back to read it, and she didn't understand some of the words.
and her paper.
And she said, "My teacher's going to know that this wasn't me." And I said, "Just say that you used the thesaurus.com."
Right.
Because she was using said over and over again. And so,
So
you
you
got to
want-
change it to
You're
uttered
telling your daughter to lie.
replied.
You're telling her to lie to
you
her
can't
teacher.
tell us. You had her use the word uttered.
Sure.
It's busted.
And delved.
Then the parents
Delve.
The
couldn't-
biggest one is
Her
that I
14-year-old
used
knows what that
delved.
means.
Hold on. You can't do that. Why would you put uttered in a 14-year-old's paper?
Because Sherlock Holmes uttered something.
No.
You can't teach your
botched
kid to
it.
lie to her
And Babers
teachers.
replied.
You can't do it. She's got to wait a couple of years till she starts lying to her teachers. Wait till
So
June,
you've never
junior.
taken over to that extent?
Where I changed the words? No.
Oh yeah, deleted
Well, I
sentences,
caught-
put in new sentences.
caught my
I mean, I would
wife-
correct her grammatically, but I wouldn't change the words.
I help out here and there, but my wife is a teacher.
My wife
That's
does it all.
always, ask mom.
Yeah.
Ask your mom. She's a teacher.
I won't say which kid, but one of my kids had to do I won't even say what the assignment was, but it was just a small assignment. I found my wife on the computer and my son dictating to she was typing,
Right.
and he was just talking.
I have the
And I'm
best setup ever. My wife is a reading specialist. I don't read anything. So I am not the go-to guy when it comes to homework. It's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Well, I'll be honest, I hadn't looked at my daughter's writing in probably a couple years. She's maintained very good grades. She had straight A's throughout middle school. She had a couple hiccups where she got B's in math. But every other class has been an A
I would have
throughout.
killed for B's and math.
A hiccup
And that's a hiccup for me?
A hiccup for one of my kids is an A. What happened
I had to get a tutor for geometry in 9th grade, and I still was pulling D's.
Well, you might.
D's, like barely got by.
So you think that she could potentially get busted because the word delved is in there and
Well, I think
uttered?
uttered. There's no
probably
14-year-old that
not.
uses the word uttered.
Well, didn't she already change
teacher's
the
gonna
words
know.
back? Is she actually
No.
using those words?
JP told her to say she used the thesaurus.
Thesaurus, yeah.
I mean, that's fine.
She's not even going to know what that is.
Well, no, of course. It's right there. If you're on Microsoft Word, you can do grammar check, spell check. slide in thesaurus.
She
It's
could
real
just say,
easy.
my dad said I used the word said too many times, so I tried to use different words.
Right, they're in replied.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, but I think in 7th grade or 9th grade, whatever she's in, you're supposed to be a knucklehead. It's not supposed to be
terrible writer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're not supposed to be
s-
great.
You're not supposed to be
Probably
Stephen
so.
King at that point.
Right.
well, believe me, it wasn't great.
I mean, if you were a teacher, do you really want to read 37-page papers?
Oh, no.
that's
You probably read the
crazy.
first page.
No,
and say,
read
that's
the
good.
first
B
page,
plus.
look at it, and hope the rest is decent,
Yeah.
and then
She's
grade
not going to
it.
catch uttered
I
and
remember
delved.
in 11th grade, Father Rich had us. We had to, our writing assignments. It was 1 page. That's what we had to do. It was 1 page, single space. The weirdest thing. 1 page, single space. You had to start in the upper left-hand corner of the page, like the very, very top, and go all the way down to the very, very bottom. Single space, 1 page. If you
guys
went over 1 page, you got an F.
You guys went to high school at a basketball factory. Of course they're going to
If it
pass
actually went
people
over
through.
1 page,
Couldn't
you
go-
failed.
Father Rich definitely was a basketball fan.
He was. He'd play all the guys one-on-one. Yeah, couldn't. You had to like fit it in. You had to nail it. It had to be exactly 1 page, single spaced.
By the way, there's
Thank
still
God I didn't
teachers
have
like
him.
that.
was
Kelsey
hard.
goes to public schools because Quince Orchard. She says one of her teachers, I probably shouldn't be too specific, but he's part of the football staff, and that during history class, he's definitely on NFL.com.
Of course.
Or he's like scoping out plays. Like he gives them an assignment
Right.
at the beginning of class.
He's
and
worried,
that's what they
he's
gotta
worried
do.
about playing Sherwood like 2 weeks from now.
Well,
He's not
Jason-
worried about the stupid class.
Jason and I have said many, many times. I mean, it's just legend that we watched film strips in Mike Bray's class 4 days out of 5. The 5th day was a quiz.
When do you think film strips went out?
Probably about our
like
class.
25 years ago.
Our
1987.
listeners right now, there's a
Probably
good
about our
portion of our
class.
listeners who are like, what's a film strip?
Film strip meant instant nap in school. Turn off the lights. 20-minute film strip. That's a power nap right there.
I agree.
Brilliant.
I mean, I love Mike, but he might have been the worst teacher in history.
Wasn't great. Wasn't great.
Yeah, but he's a silly hoops coach.
Yes, he is.
He's a multi-millionaire.
Going to make $30 million.
I guarantee you he's got a palatial spread out in South Bend.
He does.
Yeah, of
He actually
course he
got-
does.
Well, he had a bigger. He actually downgraded. He
Yeah,
downsized.
he downsized a bit.
He downsized.
I'm sure he cares about U.S. history.
He
Please.
doesn't know anything about U.S. history.
Neither
He
do
just
you
knows.
dogs.
He just knows.
Neither do you
He just knows
dogs.
he couldn't beat Syracuse at the Carrier Dome.
He knows the history of the pick and roll.
Yeah.
Of course.
All right, coming up next, we go around the NFL with the Junkies Blitz. Tell you about an NFL contender for the Super Bowl that has some injury issues.